My mother-in-law keeps starting pointless arguments, so we blocked her.
Blocked.
I had started making this post late last night and ended up losing everything I wrote, so please bear with me. It might be a long one. I should also add this is my first ever post on Reddit. I apologize for the lack of paragraph breaks. These are the names I have picked for the few names I will be using in my story. Karen, stepmother-in-law. Rob, father-in-law. Pickles, my now husband. I'm calling him husband. By the way, this comes from my mom is not a watermelon. There's no N, so a watermelon. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, I met the love of my life, Pickles, around 5 years ago while working as a cashier. He was picking up his sister, who was one of my work friends. I know it sounds corny, but it was love at first sight for the both of us. We both said hi, and he would come into the store many times after that just to talk to me. We never exchanged phone numbers since I was on the clock, and he didn't want to scare me off, so we would always talk and then leave things at that. That is, until I found out we had the same mutual friend. This friend had a private story on Snapchat that all his friends could view and post on, so I decided to post and congratulate him on his graduation. Within 10 minutes of posting, I got a friend request. Since his name is semi-popular in my mind, I was saying, please let this be the right guy. Then I added him back. Within a few seconds, he sent me a snap, and it was indeed the man I was looking for. We started talking, and after the first few hours of texting back and forth, he asked me if he could take me somewhere. I excitedly agreed. We went out to climb on top of a building that everyone in my town calls the Bowl, to stargaze and talk about our lives, then ended the night sharing our first kiss. I had met his family prior when I dropped his sister off at home after her shift, since we both got off at the same time. And it wasn't too far out of my way home. She invited me in, and I met Rob, her 4 siblings, her grandma, 3 dogs, including Duke, 1 cat, my husband's, and of course, Karen. Now, please don't judge me for this, but when I met Karen, I thought she was Rob's attracted to the same gender sister. I say this because she had a blonde pixie haircut with faded blue, pink, and purple hair dye and was wearing a rainbow tie-dye t-shirt. I was honestly shocked when they told me they were married. She was extremely nice at first, but after a while, her mask started lifting and she showed her true colors. I just want to put this out here that Rob is an absolute angel, and I don't know how he puts up with Karen. After about a year of dating Pickles, I had some family issues, and it ended up coming up in a conversation with the family. Rob and Karen both told me to come live with them and to move my stuff into their home since they understood what the specific family issues were like. After them constantly telling me things would be better if I just moved in, I eventually did, but not without showing my appreciation by cooking, cleaning, and helping out financially. It wasn't long before Karen started yelling, berating, and belittling the kids in front of me. She always had a minimum 2 things to complain and get angry about in a day, whether it be someone leaving a toothbrush on the sink in the bathroom or a towel falling off the rack. But I continued to live there, thinking maybe she was just having a bad week or it just wasn't a good month.
She's just having a bad quarter.
Yeah,
She's just having a bad half a year.
She's just having a bad decade.
Oh, it's just been a bad millennium.
About a year later, Pickles popped the big question in front of all his family at their get-together on Christmas Eve. They were all in on it. Not even 5 minutes later, after I told him I would marry him, Karen opened her big mouth and said, "When are we having the wedding? What theme are we thinking? Ooh, we should do this. We should do that. Blah, blah, blah." I had no idea he was going to propose to me 5 minutes prior, and now we need to start planning immediately? Calm down. We did end up sitting down and planning the wedding, setting our wedding date for September of 2023. Karen then asked me if she could plan the wedding and said both she and Rob wanted to pay for it. I asked her multiple times if she was sure, and she assured me she wanted to do everything and pay for it. Both Pickles and I agreed, but only if they were sure. Keep in mind, this was a small, low-budget wedding, especially since we didn't want them to have to pay a crazy amount of money on this. This becomes important later. Some time passed, and Pickles and I decided we wanted to start a family together, but under one condition. We would be out of the house before the baby was born, and he agreed. After we found out I was pregnant, we told the family about 5 days later with painted t-shirts that said, "I'm going to be a mom," mine. "I'm going to be a dad," Pickles. "I'm going to be a grandma," Karen's. And "I'm going to be a grandpa," Rob's. We had Rob and Karen close their eyes while my husband's aunt and uncle put their t-shirts on them as we changed into ours. Once everyone had their t-shirts on, we had them turn around and open their eyes. The first words out of Karen's mouth were, "No wonder you were being such a witch. I knew it." Right after you just found out that she's gonna have a child?
You couldn't help yourself for one moment, Karen? Not for 1 second?
Both Pickles and I exchanged what the F glances at each other, but didn't say anything until we were somewhere private. He later told me that if anything, I was acting happier than normal and wasn't being witchy in any way, shape, or form. Fast forward about a month or so later, and my morning sickness was absolutely unbearable. Remember how I said they had 3 dogs? Well, unfortunately, I have to bring them into this story. Duke is an extremely sweet but extremely large dog. I freaking knew it. But who wasn't properly house trained due to everyone in the house being out most of the day. The only issue with him was that he wasn't potty trained. That and his chronic diarrhea. Oh no. I was the one who cleaned up after him most of the days before and after my work shifts. When he had to go, he would go. All over the unfinished hardwood floors. Once my morning sickness started punting in, I couldn't clean up his fecal matter without having to take at least 3 trips to the bathroom in between scoops. Oh, I couldn't even do that without being pregnant. So I didn't do as much of the cleaning as I used to. One day, Karen started yelling at me, saying that pregnancy wasn't an excuse to be lazy and that I don't do crap around the house. Mind you, I was still cooking and cleaning the exact same way as before. Bathrooms, kitchens, rooms, dishes piled up in the sink. The only thing that changed was cleaning up dog poop. And even then, I still cleaned it up most of the time. They have 3 dogs. When one takes a big old dookie, all of them take big old dookies. The worst of it became more frequent during the 1-month wedding countdown. I had found out I was pregnant in July. One of my closest friends bought my dress for me as my wedding gift on Amazon. I picked a $125 black corset back dress and absolutely loved it. We decided to order a size up just in case since, well, I was pregnant. When I told Karen that I ordered the dress 1 size up just in case, she started screaming, "Only a size? You're going to have a balloon out and you only ordered 1 size up? What's going to happen when the dress comes and it doesn't fit you because you're too huge? Who would make changes on that dress for you? Who would pay for it? When I was pregnant, blah, 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 blah." And the rant continued. Keep in mind, I wasn't even showing yet at 5 months. Our baby was growing close to my spine, so I could have even hidden the pregnancy if I wanted to. And due to throwing up almost everything I ate, I was losing weight at the same time. The dress arrived a week before the wedding, and I was so relieved. It was beautiful, a little big here and there, but it fit, and I was happy about it. Karen, for once, had nothing to say, probably because my friend had brought the dress to me and was there to watch me put it on. Within the week time frame, Karen would yell, belittle, and berate me daily. I had paid for everything meal-related, and we decided to make walking tacos since they're cheap and absolutely delicious. Karen started screaming at me when I told her how much ground beef I was buying, demanding, "What if that isn't enough? What happens if we run out of food? I'm sure not going to leave the wedding to get it, so you would have to go out to get more. You'd have to leave your own wedding because you're stupid and didn't think about anyone besides yourself." I was planning on getting 3 10-pound tubes of ground beef. I ended up buying an entire case of ground beef. Thank goodness it was on sale. It was $30 a tube when it was normally $60 each. Wow. After getting the beef, utensils, plates, and everything else, I got back to the house. My husband was talking with them about the wedding. Pickle said, "We got the food," to which I responded, "I got the food, since I paid for it with my money." When Karen heard that, she jumped up and snapped, "Was that a jab at my son?" I responded, "It was a joke." "Well, I didn't find it effing funny," she screamed. "It sounds like you made a jab at my son. I protect my son from anything, and I'm going to do everything it takes to protect him from you. I don't even think your marriage is going to last. I give it a year and you'll be done." I was fuming at this point and told her, "I have nothing to prove to you, but every day for the rest of my life, I will prove you wrong." She's going to stay with him forever just to spite you.
Yeah, don't do that. This is the point where you go, "Oh, I don't care. Hi. I don't care about you anymore."
No, this is the point where
All I
the
care
husband
about-
steps in and says, "Mom, don't ever freaking say that to my fiance."
100%. 100%.
Then I left the house, went out to my car, and cried. When I eventually came back inside, there was no apology. Your husband needs to step the freak up, man. The next day, which was the day before the wedding, Karen didn't come home from work until later in the day. The second she walked in, she asked me if I had found a place for daycare. I told her that I had been looking into 3 places already. She responded, 3 places? Only 3 places? I could make 10 phone calls and have 10 places within 15 minutes. Dude, the baby's not even out yet.
Relax.
Oh, and if you can't take care of your child up to my standard, I'll take your baby away. So that's illegal. That's kidnapping. The baby will stay with me, and if you want to take a legal approach, I'll call CPS and have your child taken far away from you. At least if I take the baby, you could still see it around the house. Dude, what's your husband doing?
Yeah, where's your husband, dude?
I ran out to my car, crying in front of Karen for the first thing she had said to me. I sat in the driver's seat and texted my mom, telling her that I loved her. She responded with, "Are you okay?" It was late, it was out of the blue, and things had gotten better between us. Before I knew it, I got a call from my dad and spilled everything that had happened within the 2 years I had been gone. He told me to come home. I told him I couldn't. Yeah, because Opie's been living with these people.
Yeah.
You should go home.
Oh, no.
They had paid for the wedding, and I wanted to marry the love of my life. I told them we could hold off for one more day until the wedding.
Where is Pickles?
Pickles is...
What is Pickles doing?
Is letting me down. Pickles is like, you either aren't telling him what's happening, which that's also a problem because you should be telling your partner the things that are making you upset, and also that his parents are threatening to take away your child. That's crazy. Or 2, he knows and he's not doing anything. Yeah.
I was just saying, it's not a cool move to be like, yeah, and if you try to get the law involved, I'm calling CPS and having them take your kid away. And it's like, clearly you don't really care about the kid's well-being at that point.
My parents were at the wedding and my dad walked me down the aisle. Everything was perfect, like a fairy tale, until we went to get our wedding party photos. While we were gone, Karen managed to start a fight with my husband's real mom by yelling at her daughter for apparently sitting at a table that wasn't reserved for you. Mind you, there were no designated seating arrangements. We didn't know about this until after the wedding when a few of our friends texted us about it. I would have lost my crap at Karen if I had known she started drama, especially since we made it clear to her and everyone who received a wedding invitation that we didn't want any drama and that any drama starters would be punted out. I wish I could tell you things started to get better after the wedding, but that's not the case. If it wasn't us, it was always someone else. After we found an apartment, we didn't plan to tell Rob or Karen about moving out until the day we were moving out. I just started packing things into boxes and slowly moving them into my parents' garage since they told me I could keep them there until we got the keys to the apartment. My husband ended up telling them that we were moving out when Karen was talking about getting things ready for the baby in the basement, which was where we were staying. The basement was falling apart. Not to mention, if there was ever a flash flood, water would come pouring in. There were wolf spiders everywhere and critters of all kinds. Upstairs was no better, with nails sticking out of the floorboards from ripping up the carpet. Oh, right, the unfinished floors. Big holes in the wall due to unfinished projects that they had started the summer prior, and dry dog poop in between the unfinished hardwood.
This is horrific. That's a horrific house.
The dogs had gotten worse about pooping on the floors since the 2.5 years I had been living with them. There was no way we were going to stay there with a baby, and the fact that she thought it was okay was delusional. When my husband told them, Karen sneered, "You two are going to fail on your own, and I'm going to laugh when you come crawling back."
Dude, I would never talk to you again.
She would make comments every now and then about how we weren't going to make it and that it wasn't too late to change our minds. We had already signed the lease on the apartment, so obviously it was too late. I was so happy we would be out of that heckhole of a house. Move-in day came, and within the first 5 minutes, Karen was yelling at Rob, and things started getting heated. Pickles looked at both of them and raised his voice and said, "If you guys are going to yell, do it at your home, not ours. If we get a noise complaint the first day we move in, I'm going to be pissed."
Okay.
Karen was taken aback because he had never talked to her like that in his life, because if he did, in her home, she had control.
There we go.
She had absolutely no control in our home.
That's right. Take the control back, Pickles.
When everyone finally left, I looked at Pickles and told him that someday Karen was going to start something over stupid reasons again and blow up. And when she does, I know exactly what I'm going to say to her. I will block her, and that will be the end of things. We both hoped she wouldn't because we both honestly cared about her and wanted her to change and get better. But eventually, the day came and she went Crazy.
The day of reckoning.
I was 2 months postpartum at this point and honestly didn't need the drama. I had sent her and 12 other people the same video on Facebook talking about how the time when your baby's little goes by way too fast. Eventually, they aren't going to be little anymore, and those tiny fingerprints scattered all over the windows will disappear. It was something showing the importance of enjoying your time with your littles while they're still little, before they grow up. Instead of thinking it was a sweet video, she started going crazy, asking me if I was calling her a bad mother and saying that this video meant I was taking her son away from her. He's a grown adult, not a baby. I apologized to her if it gave her mixed signals and informed her that I had sent the same video to 12 other people. I just thought it was a video worth sharing with them. That didn't shut her up. It got worse. She yelled at me over text and started bringing things up. I countered them with more information, which led to another argument. Eventually, she started running out of things to bring up, so she started getting into extremely personal things just to hurt me. I had a miscarriage a couple of months before the pregnancy I told you all about. She told me she would start sending me videos of people saying it's the woman's fault for having a miscarriage, since according to her, I didn't care enough about her feelings. That was the last straw, and I went off on her. I'm not proud of the language I used, but afterward I felt relieved. I then brought up when she told me she would take my child away from me, and she completely ignored my text. She ran out of excuses, so instead she talked about the wedding, how she planned the wedding, how she paid for the wedding, how she did this for me and that for me. I told her that she had asked to do those things. We had never once asked her to do them. She assured us that it was something that she wanted to do, so we let her. She still wasn't understanding the point and kept ignoring everything I was calling her out for. So eventually I just sat back down and asked myself if she was worth this. If she's talking to me this way, she will eventually talk to my child that way. And I didn't want that to happen, so I told her that she can call me whatever name she would like, and that it didn't matter to me anymore. She was no longer welcome on our property, and we didn't ever want to see her again. She has no right to my child, and I told her that I hoped she would eventually change and to disrespectfully go F herself, and blocked her. By the way, don't block us, because you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to the story. Any final thoughts?
I think that's something you should do with all the difficult people in your lives. Sometimes you just need a moment to sit down and go, is this worth it? Is this worth it? Because the reality is it's not always as simple as just cutting someone off right away.
No.
Sometimes, there's the politics that go into family and work and life, whatever. But you really have to sometimes simmer it and just go, is this what I want? And clearly this person is not worth it, even though she's your mother-in-law. She's terrible. She's a monster. And you and Pickles are better off without her nasty, disgusting, dried dog poop life colliding with yours.
Rob is still in our lives because, as I've said before, he is an absolute angel and did nothing wrong to us. But Karen gets jealous, and if she can't see our baby, he can't either. He still comes over every now and then when she's working or is out of the house, but part of me can't help but feel awful about blocking her. So am I the a-hole? And edit, I added the picture of my wedding dress in the comments. And that is the end of that story.
You're not an a-hole. You just have empathy.
You just have empathy, and I think your husband is not an a-hole per se, but there is a problem there that needs to be addressed.
Pickles needs to stop. Pickles needs to be a whole dill instead of like a sandwich slice pickle. He needs to not be a floppy thin pickle. He needs to be the big pickles that they put in the bag.
Yeah. Also, because he doesn't have the excuse of saying like, oh, well, I couldn't stand up to her because we were living with her and she would have kicked us out or like anything along those lines. They have their own place now. So he needs to stand up.
Regardless, it needs to be like, you can't ever speak to my partner this way.
Yeah.
And if you do this again, you're never going to see me or our child.
Yeah,
ever.
Exactly.